Part 1. The Phantom Contact. The stars in the Andali sector looked the same as they always did. Fleet Commander Thexvar sat in his command chair aboard the Kvalith warship, watching the scanner screens with bored eyes. He had patrolled this region for 3 years. Nothing ever happened here. The empty space between stars was just that. Empty. His scanner officer suddenly stood up from her station. Her face showed confusion. "Commander, I have a contact." "But it's wrong." Thexvar walked to her station. "What do you mean wrong?" "The object is moving faster than our best ships. But the readings keep disappearing. One moment it's there, the next moment it's gone. Then it appears somewhere else." She tapped her screen with one long finger. "This is impossible, Commander." Thexvar studied the readings. The Kvalith Empire had ruled space for 10,000 years. They knew every ship design in the galaxy. This matched nothing in their database. "Send 3 scout ships to investigate. Tell them to be careful." Far away, aboard a much smaller vessel, Captain Deho watched his own screens. He saw the Kvalith ships changing course toward him. His ship, the HSS Whisper, was humanity's most secret project. From the outside, it looked like a simple cargo hauler. Inside, it carried technology that would make the great empires tremble with fear. "They've spotted us," said Jiwan from the engineering station. She was young, only 28, but her mind understood quantum physics better than anyone on Earth. "The stealth field is working, but not perfectly. They see us like a ghost," Deho nodded. He was 42 years old with gray in his black hair. He had commanded Navy ships for 15 years, but never anything like the Whisper. "How long until they reach us?" 20 minutes, answered Yunji from navigation. She was calculating distances in her head, fingers moving across her controls. "They're sending scouts ahead. 3 small ships? Let them come close," Deho said calmly. "I want to see what they do." Hyunwoo, the tactical officer, turned in his chair. He was built like a fighter with quick eyes that missed nothing. "Captain, if they scan us properly, they'll know we're human." "Earth's position will be compromised." "I know," Deho replied. "That's why we won't let them scan us properly." The Kvalith scout ships approached carefully. They were heavily armed, ready for combat. Their sensors swept the area, trying to lock onto the strange contact. But the Whisper kept appearing and disappearing from their screens. It was like trying to catch smoke with their hands. "This is Scout Leader to Command," one pilot reported. "We cannot get a solid reading. The object phase shifts through multiple dimensions. I have never seen this technology before." Thexvar felt a cold feeling in his stomach. The Kvalith Empire had enemies, but none with technology like this. "Attempt to communicate with it. Use all standard frequencies." Minho, the Whisper's communication officer, heard the Kvalith transmission. He was fluent in 47 alien languages. The Kvalith language sounded harsh to human ears, full of clicking sounds and low growls. "Captain, they're trying to talk to us." "They sound confused and nervous." "Don't answer," Deho ordered. "Jiwan, prepare for quantum displacement. Full phase shift." Jiwan's fingers flew across her controls. The quantum drive was humanity's greatest secret. It allowed the ship to exist in multiple probability states at the same time. To an observer, the ship would simply vanish from reality. "Ready, Captain." "But we've only tested this twice before." "The math says it should work, but do it," Deho said. The Whisper disappeared. Not just from sensors, from reality itself. The Kvalith scouts suddenly found themselves staring at empty space. Their scanners showed nothing, not even residual radiation. "Command, the object is gone," Scout Leader reported. "It simply ceased to exist." Thexvar stood up from his chair. "That's impossible. Ships don't just disappear. Expand your search pattern. Check for debris." But the Whisper hadn't been destroyed. It had moved outside normal space-time, sliding through quantum probability like a knife through water. Inside the ship, the crew felt nothing. Their coffee cups sat steady on their desks. Only the view screen showed the change. Stars now looked stretched and strange. "Quantum displacement successful," Jiwan reported. She sounded relieved. "Moving us behind their formation now." The Whisper reappeared behind the Kvalith fleet. Their main warship sat in perfect formation, exactly where Yunji had predicted they would be. Hyunwoo immediately began scanning them, recording every detail of their weapons, shields, and power systems. "They don't know we're here," Hyunwoo said quietly. "Their sensors are all pointing forward, looking for us where we used to be." Deho watched the alien ships on his screen. Each Kvalith warship was 3 times larger than the Whisper. Their weapons could destroy a city with one shot. The Empire commanded thousands of such ships. And here he was, watching them from behind, invisible and silent. "Captain, their scout ships are firing at nothing," Yunji said. "They're shooting at our last position." "Panicked," Hyunwoo observed. "They're scared because they don't understand what they saw." Minho suddenly held up one hand. "Captain, I'm intercepting encrypted communications between the Kavalith ships and their home fleet. They're using quantum encryption, but it's an old system. I can break it." "Do it," Daeho ordered. "I want to know what they're saying." For 3 minutes, the whisper hung in space behind the Kavalith fleet, recording everything. Then Minho's face went pale. He looked up at Daeho with wide eyes. "Captain, you need to hear this." Daeho walked to the communication station. Minho played the decoded transmission. The Kavalith commander was speaking to someone important, someone higher in their military chain. The words made Daeho's blood run cold. The Kavalith Empire had detected humanity's expansion into space. They had found 3 of Earth's new colonies, and they had made a decision. Humanity was young, weak, and growing. The Kavalith saw them as a future threat. Better to eliminate that threat now, while humans were still primitive. The Empire was planning a cleansing operation. They would send a fleet to destroy humanity's colonies and then find Earth itself. They would wipe humans from the galaxy before humanity could become dangerous. "When?" Daeho asked quietly. Minho checked the transmission again. "The message says they're assembling the invasion fleet now. It will take them approximately 18 days to gather their forces and reach our colonies." The bridge of the whisper became very quiet. Every crew member understood what this meant. Earth's military had 47 warships. The Kavalith Empire commanded fleets of thousands. Humanity had been in space for only 20 years. The Kavalith had ruled the stars for 10,000. "Set course for Earth," Daeho ordered. "Maximum speed." "We need to warn them." "Captain," Juwan said carefully. "If we use the quantum drive at full power, they might detect us." "I don't care anymore," Daeho replied. "Let them see us. Let them wonder what we are. We need to get this information home." The whisper vanished again, this time moving faster than light itself. Behind them, the Kavalith fleet searched the empty space, confused and frightened by the ghost ship that moved like nothing they had ever seen. Thexvar stood on his bridge, staring at the empty scanner screens. He had been a fleet commander for 20 years. He had fought in 3 wars, but he had never felt this feeling before. The feeling that something new had entered the galaxy. Something dangerous. He didn't know that the ghost ship carried humans. He didn't know that he had just started a chain of events that would shake every empire in known space. All he knew was that somewhere out there, a ship existed that could appear and disappear at will, and that terrified him more than any enemy he had ever faced. Part 2. The Council's Arrogance. The Galactic Sovereignty Council met in a massive station that floated between 3 stars. The station was older than most civilizations. 7 ancient races ruled the galaxy from this place, and they had done so for longer than humans had existed. Today, Fleet Commander Thexvar stood before them. He looked small in the enormous chamber. The 7 council members sat on high platforms, looking down at him like gods judging a mortal. "You claim," said Council Member Vrethnal, "that you encountered a ship that can disappear from reality itself. Do you understand how foolish this sounds?" Thexvar kept his voice steady. "I brought the scanner logs. The data speaks for itself. The ship violated every known law of physics. It moved faster than anything in our database. It appeared and disappeared at will." Another council member laughed. It was a wet, bubbling sound. "Perhaps your sensors malfunctioned. The Kavalith were once mighty, but perhaps your technology has grown old and unreliable." "Our sensors worked perfectly," Thexvar said. His hands formed fists at his sides. "I have served the Empire for 20 years. I know what I saw." The council members looked at each other. Finally, Vrethnal spoke again. "We will investigate this matter, but we suspect you encountered a natural phenomenon, not a ship. You are dismissed." Thexvar left the chamber with anger burning in his chest. The council did not believe him. They thought he was incompetent or lying, but he knew the truth. Something new had entered the galaxy. In another part of the station, Ambassador Soman waited outside a different chamber. She was 36 years old, and she represented humanity at the galactic level. It was not a pleasant job. Most aliens treated her like a child playing at politics. A small alien appeared at the door. It had 6 eyes and spoke in a high-pitched voice. "The council will see you now. You have 5 minutes. Someone walked into the chamber. The 7 council members barely looked at her. One was reading reports. Another seemed to be sleeping. This was the respect humanity received from the galaxy. Honored Council, Soman began. She had practiced this speech for weeks. I come with urgent information. The Kvalith Empire is planning military action against human colonies. We request council intervention to prevent— 5 minutes means 5 minutes, Vrethanal interrupted. Say what you came to say. Soman felt her face grow hot with anger, but she kept her voice calm. The Kvalith see humanity as a future threat. They plan to destroy our colonies before we can grow stronger. This is genocide, and it violates— The Kvalith can manage their own sector as they see fit, another council member said. If your species built colonies in their territory without permission, you face the consequences. We didn't build in their territory, Soman protested. Our colonies are in unclaimed space. We followed all galactic laws, did you? Vrethanal leaned forward. Tell me, Ambassador, does humanity understand galactic law? You've been in space for what, 20 years? We have governed the galaxy for millions. Perhaps you don't understand what is claimed and what is not. Soman wanted to scream at them, but she knew it would do no good. I formally request protection for human colonies under Galactic Charter Section 12. Request denied, Vrethanal said. Your 5 minutes are finished. You may leave. Soman left the chamber with tears of frustration in her eyes. She had failed. The council would do nothing to help humanity. Far from the council station, the Whisper raced toward Earth. The crew had been traveling for 6 days. They had pushed the quantum drive to its limits. G1 barely slept anymore. She spent every hour monitoring the drive systems, making tiny adjustments to keep them stable. How much longer? Deho asked. 2 days, Unji answered. But Captain, the Kvalith are gathering their invasion fleet faster than we expected. I'm picking up fleet movements across their territory. Hyunwoo pulled up a tactical display. Red dots appeared across the screen, each one representing a Kvalith warship. They're assembling near the Kelvar system. I count at least 400 ships so far. 400 warships. Deho felt sick. Earth's entire military had 47 ships, and most of those were small patrol vessels. How could humanity possibly fight against 400 Kvalith warships? Captain, Minho said quietly, I've been monitoring communications. The Kvalith aren't hiding their plans anymore. They're openly discussing the invasion. They're calling it Operation Cleansing. They think we can't understand their language, Jiwan said bitterly. They think we're too primitive. They're wrong about that, Deho replied. And they're going to learn just how wrong. When the Whisper finally reached Earth, Deho went immediately to military headquarters. Admiral Tajan was waiting for him. The admiral was 60 years old with iron-gray hair and eyes that had seen too many wars. Show me, Tajan said simply. Deho played all the recordings. The Kvalith ships. The intercepted communications. The invasion plans. Tajan watched everything in silence. When the recordings ended, he sat back in his chair and closed his eyes. 400 ships, he said finally. They'll hit New Busan first. 12 million people live on that colony. Yes, sir. We can't evacuate that many people in 12 days. We don't have enough transport ships. Tajan opened his eyes. How many of our ships can fight? 47, Deho answered. But sir, most of them are patrol boats. Only 12 are actual warships. So we'll send 12 ships to fight 400. Tajan smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. Do you know what humans did on Earth when facing impossible odds, Captain? What, sir? We fought anyway. We've never been good at accepting defeat. Tajan stood up. I want you to take the Whisper back to New Busan. You'll lead our defense. Deho felt his stomach drop. Sir, one ship that can appear and disappear at will, Tajan interrupted. One ship that scared the Kvalith so badly they called a council meeting. Captain, you're going to take that ghost ship of yours and you're going to make the Kvalith Empire think twice about invading human space. How? Deho asked. Tajan walked to the window. Outside, Earth hung in space, blue and beautiful. The Kvalith have ruled space for 10,000 years. They've forgotten what it's like to fight someone desperate. They've forgotten what it's like to face an enemy who refuses to surrender. He turned back to Deho. We're going to remind them. Over the next 10 days, Earth's shipyards worked around the clock. They couldn't build new warships in such a short time. But they could modify existing ships. They could add weapons to cargo haulers. They could install Jiwan's Ghost Echo technology on as many vessels as possible. Jiwan herself barely left the workshop. She taught other engineers how to build the Ghost Echo projectors. These devices couldn't make ships invisible like the Whisper could, but they could make one ship look like many ships on enemy sensors. It's not perfect, she told Deho. The illusions won't hold up to close inspection, but from a distance the Kvalith will see hundreds of ships instead of dozens. How many can we equip? Deho asked. 12 ships have the full system. Another 30 have basic echo projectors. It's the best we can do in the time we have. Hyunwoo spent his days studying Kvalith tactics. He watched every recording they had of Kvalith battles. He looked for patterns, for weaknesses, for anything humanity could exploit. They fight like aristocrats, he told Daiho. Everything is precise and proper. They follow rules of engagement that are thousands of years old. They believe there's a correct way to fight a battle. And that's their weakness, Deho said. Yes, Hyunwoo agreed. They'll expect us to fight the same way. When we don't, when we do things that violate their rules, they'll hesitate. They'll be confused. And confusion in battle can be deadly. On the 12th day, the defense fleet left Earth. 47 ships, many of them civilians with weapons strapped to their hulls. They looked pitiful compared to the massive Kvalith armada. But they were crewed by humans who knew they were fighting for survival. Deho stood on the bridge of the Whisper, watching the fleet assemble around him. Admiral Tajan appeared on the communication screen. The old man looked tired but determined. The Kvalith fleet will reach New Busan in 6 days, Tajan said. I'm told that 5 other alien powers are sending observer ships. They want to watch humanity die. They want to see what happens when primitives challenge an empire. Let them watch, Deho replied. We'll give them a show they'll never forget. The fleet jumped to faster-than-light speed. Ahead of them lay New Busan, 12 million people and the largest battle humanity would ever fight. Part 3. Ghosts in the Void. The Whisper traveled alone through the nebulon expanse. This region of space was filled with radiation storms and strange gravity wells that made normal navigation dangerous. Most ships avoided it, but Deho had chosen this route for exactly that reason. Captain, sensors show Kvalith ships behind us, Yoonji said. They're following us through the expanse. Deho looked at the tactical display. 30 Kvalith warships, all hunter-killer class. Fast, deadly, and designed for exactly this kind of pursuit. After the Whisper had left Earth's defense fleet, these ships had broken off from the main invasion force to chase them down. They want revenge, Hyunwoo observed. We embarrassed them, made them look foolish in front of the council. Now they want to destroy us before we can interfere with their invasion. How long until they catch us? Daiho asked. At current speed, 40 minutes, Yoonji answered. But Captain, if we go faster, the radiation storms will interfere with our drives. We could get stranded, Deho smiled. Good. If we can get stranded, so can they. Take us deeper into the expanse. Maximum speed. Jiwan looked up from her engineering station. Her eyes were red from lack of sleep. She had worked for 72 hours straight, keeping the quantum drive stable during their high-speed flight from Earth. Captain, the drives are already at 90% capacity. If we push harder, Deho said firmly. Those 30 ships behind us are 30 ships that won't be at New Busan. Every minute we keep them chasing us is another minute Earth has to prepare. The Whisper dove deeper into the nebulon expanse. Purple and green radiation storms lit up the view screen like angry ghosts. The ship shook as it passed through pockets of turbulent space. Yoonji's fingers flew across her controls, plotting a course that threaded between the worst dangers. Behind them, the Kvalith ships followed. Their commander, Sub-Marshal Krekstar, sat in his command chair with growing frustration. The ghost ship kept slipping away, dancing between dangers that should have destroyed it. How are they navigating this? His tactical officer asked. No ship should be able to move this fast through the expanse. They're insane, Krekstar growled. They're willing to risk destruction just to stay ahead of us. No civilized species would fight this way. Should we break off pursuit? The tactical officer suggested carefully. No. Krekstar slammed his fist on the chair arm. That ship has made fools of us twice. We will destroy it no matter what it takes. On the Whisper, Minho intercepted that conversation. He translated it for the crew. They're angry, Captain. They're not thinking clearly anymore. They want revenge more than they want tactical success. Angry opponents make mistakes, Hyunwoo said. Captain, I have an idea. It's dangerous. Everything we do is dangerous, Daeho replied. What's your idea? Hyunwoo pulled up a map of the expanse. There's a gravity well here 3 million kilometers ahead. It's caused by a collapsed star. The gravitational forces are extreme. But if we use the quantum drive to phase shift at exactly the right moment, we can pass through it while they can't, Daeho finished. And they'll be caught in the gravity well. Some of them will be destroyed, Hyunwoo said. The others will need hours to escape. It will slow them down significantly. Jiwon shook her head. Captain, the timing has to be perfect. If we phase shift too early or too late, we'll be caught in the gravity well too. And the quantum drive is already strained. One more jump like that might break it completely. Daeho looked at his crew. Jiwon, exhausted but still working. Yoonji, calculating trajectories in her head faster than computers could. Hyunwoo, seeing tactical opportunities where others saw only danger. Minho, listening to enemy communications and finding their weaknesses. These people had followed him into danger again and again. They trusted him to make the right choice. Set the course, Daeho ordered. We're going through the gravity well. The next 20 minutes were tense. The Whisper raced toward the collapsed star, while 30 Kavaleth ships closed the distance behind them. The gravity well grew stronger with every kilometer. Normal space began to distort. Stars on the view screen stretched into long lines. Kavaleth ships are experiencing gravity drag, Hyunwoo reported. They're slowing down. But they're still following us. 30 seconds to the gravity well, Yoonji counted down. 20 seconds, 15. Jiwon's hands hovered over her controls. She had run the calculations 100 times. The quantum drive would activate for exactly 0.3 seconds. Any longer and they would phase shift into a dimension where the gravity well didn't exist, but they would also be lost forever. Any shorter and they would be torn apart. 10 seconds, Yoonji said. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, Daeho shouted. Jiwon activated the quantum drive. The Whisper flickered out of normal space for a fraction of a second. In that moment it passed through the gravity well like a ghost passing through a wall. When it reappeared on the other side, the gravity well lay between them and the pursuing Kavaleth fleet. Krekstar saw the ghost ship vanish again. Then his sensors screamed warnings at him. The gravity well had caught his fleet like fish in a net. 3 of his ships were immediately torn apart by tidal forces. The rest struggled to escape, their engines straining against the immense gravitational pull. All ships, emergency burn, Krekstar ordered. Get us out of here! But it was too late to catch the Whisper. By the time the Kavaleth ships finally pulled free of the gravity well, 4 hours had passed. 4 ships were destroyed. The rest were damaged and low on fuel. Krekstar looked at the scanner screen where the ghost ship had disappeared and felt something he had never felt before. Fear. On the Whisper, the crew celebrated briefly. They had won. But Jiwon's voice cut through the celebration. Captain, the quantum drive is badly damaged. That last phase shift pushed it beyond safe limits. I can repair it, but it will take time. How much time? Daeho asked. At least 40 hours. And we can only do 1, maybe 2 more jumps after that before the drive fails completely. Daeho looked at the star map. New Busan was still 3 days away. The main Kavaleth invasion fleet was 2 days away from the colony. The math was simple and brutal. They might not reach New Busan before the invasion began. How fast can we go without the quantum drive? He asked Yoonji, standard FTL speed. We can still make it to New Busan, but we'll arrive just hours before the Kavaleth fleet does. There won't be much time to prepare. Then we don't waste any time, Daeho said. He activated the ship-wide communication channel. All crew, this is the captain. We won our fight against the hunter-killer fleet. But the real battle is still ahead of us. Get some rest if you can. Eat something. Check your equipment. In 3 days, we're going to fight a battle that will decide humanity's future. Minho sent a message back to Earth, reporting their success. The response came from Admiral Tajan himself. Well done, Whisper. You delayed 30 enemy ships and destroyed 4. Every victory counts. The defense fleet is in position at New Busan. Civilian evacuation is ongoing, but we won't get everyone out in time. Come home quickly. We need our ghost ship. Over the next 3 days, Jiwon worked without stopping. She rebuilt parts of the quantum drive using spare materials and pure determination. Other engineers would have said it was impossible. But Jiwon refused to accept impossible. Hyunwoo spent his time planning the battle. He knew the Kavaleth would bring 400 ships. Earth would have 47. The only advantages humanity had were surprise, desperation, and the ghost echo technology that could make their small fleet look much larger. We can't win a straight fight, Yunwu told Diho. So we don't fight straight. We make them think they're facing something they can't understand. We make them afraid. Can fear stop an empire? Daeho asked. Fear has stopped every empire in Earth's history, Yunwu replied. The Kivaleth have forgotten how to be afraid. We're going to remind them. As they approached New Busan, long-range sensors picked up the Faleth invasion fleet, 400 ships in perfect formation, moving toward the colony like a wave of death, and behind them 5 other alien fleets, observers from other galactic powers who wanted to watch humanity die. They're treating this like entertainment, Minho said bitterly. They want to see what happens when primitives challenge an empire. Then let's give them a show, Daeho replied. He opened communication with Admiral Taejun, who waited at New Busan with the defense fleet. Admiral, the Whisper has arrived. Where do you want us? Taejun's face appeared on the screen. The old admiral looked tired but determined. Take point position, Captain. You're our ace in the hole. When the Kvalith arrive, show them what a ghost ship can do. Daeho looked at his crew one last time before the battle. They were exhausted, frightened, and facing impossible odds, but not one of them looked ready to surrender. Positions, everyone, Daeho ordered. The Kvalith Empire is about to learn that humanity doesn't know how to quit. Part 4. The defense of New Busan. The Kvalith invasion fleet arrived at New Busan like a wall of metal and fire. 400 warships, each one massive and terrible. They spread out in a formation that had been perfected over 10,000 years of conquest. War Marshal Drethkos commanded from the flagship Eternal Glory, confident this would be another easy victory. The human defense fleet waited in orbit around New Busan. 47 ships, most of them small, many of them civilian vessels with weapons hastily attached. On the planet below, 12 million people watched the sky and prayed. Drethkos opened a communication channel. His face appeared on every human ship's screen. He was large and covered in gray scales with 6 yellow eyes that showed no mercy. Humans. His voice was deep and rough. You have built colonies in space that should belong to greater civilizations. You have demonstrated dangerous technology. The Galactic Council has determined that you are a threat. I offer you one chance to surrender. Evacuate this planet immediately. Leave this system. If you comply, you will live. If you resist, you will be cleansed from the galaxy. On the bridge of the flagship HSS Indomitable, Admiral Taejun listened to the surrender demand. He was 60 years old with gray hair and scars from old battles. He had fought his whole life to protect humanity. He was not going to start surrendering now. Taejun activated his communication system. He spoke in perfect Kvalith language which surprised Drethkos. War Marshal, my name is Admiral Taejun. I speak for humanity. We will not evacuate. We will not surrender. You mistake our youth for weakness. If you want this planet, you will have to take it. Come and try. Those last 3 words echoed across the communication channels. Come and try. They were simple words, but they carried the weight of humanity's entire history. They were the words of people who had never accepted defeat, who had fought against impossible odds again and again across thousands of years. Drethkos felt a moment of surprise. Then anger replaced it. You dare challenge the Kvalith Empire? Your entire fleet is smaller than one of my battle groups. This is suicide. Maybe, Taejun replied. But humans have never been very good at accepting what's impossible. Attack if you wish. We'll be waiting. Drethkos cut the communication. He turned to his tactical officer. Destroy them. All ships, attack formation. Show these primitives what happens when they challenge an empire. The Kvalith fleet moved forward. Their weapons powered up, ready to pour death onto the small human fleet. In the observation area, 5 alien fleets from other civilizations watched with interest. They expected this battle to last minutes. They expected humanity to break and run. Activate Ghost Echo, Taejun ordered across the human fleet. Jiwan's technology came alive. The Ghost Echo projectors on 12 human ships began creating false sensor images. Suddenly, where 47 ships had been, the Kvaleth sensors showed 600. On the Eternal Glory, the tactical officer stared at his screens in confusion. War Marshal, new contacts appearing. Hundreds of them. They're surrounding us. Drethkos looked at his displays. Impossible. Where had all these ships come from? He had been certain the humans only had a few dozen vessels. Had they hidden a fleet? Had other species come to help them? "It's a trick," Drethkos said, but his voice carried doubt. "Some kind of sensor illusion." "Orders, War Marshal?" the tactical officer asked. Before Drethkos could answer, the whisper appeared. It had been hiding, quantum drive engaged, invisible to all sensors. Now Deho brought it online directly in the center of the Kvaleth formation. Every Kvaleth ship suddenly detected a hostile contact right in the middle of their fleet. "Fire," Deho ordered. The Whisper's weapons weren't powerful compared to Kvaleth warships, but it didn't need powerful weapons. Hyunwoo had studied the Kvaleth shield technology. He had found the weakness that Yunji discovered in their earlier encounter. The Whisper's weapons were calibrated to exploit that exact weakness. 3 Kvaleth ships exploded. The Whisper vanished again, phase shifting out of normal space before return fire could hit it. The Kvaleth fleet spun in confusion, shooting at empty space. "All ships, attack now," Tejan ordered. The human fleet charged forward. They didn't follow any civilized rules of warfare. They came from every direction at once. Some ships rammed Kvaleth vessels, sacrificing themselves to take down larger enemies. Others fired strange weapons, harpoon cables that tangled Kvaleth ships together, electromagnetic pulses that fried their systems, clouds of debris that shredded their hulls. The 5 observing alien fleets watched in shock. This wasn't how civilized species fought. This was chaos. This was brutal and dirty and completely effective. Drethkos tried to restore order to his fleet. "Reform lines, standard battle formation," but the humans wouldn't let him. Every time the Kvaleth ships tried to organize, the Whisper appeared somewhere new, destroying ships and vanishing before return fire could hit it. The ghost echoes kept showing hundreds of false targets. Human ships attacked and retreated in patterns that made no sense according to Kvaleth tactical doctrine. Minho intercepted Kvaleth communications and did something brilliant. He began broadcasting their casualty reports across all Kvaleth frequencies. Every ship in their fleet could hear the losses mounting. 10 ships destroyed, 20 ships, 50 ships. The numbers kept climbing. "Silence those transmissions," Drethkos ordered. But Minho was too good. He jumped between frequencies, always staying one step ahead of Kvaleth countermeasures. Hyunwoo coordinated the defense like a conductor leading an orchestra. He saw the battle as a whole, understanding how each small action created larger effects. When Kvaleth ships moved to support a damaged vessel, human ships attacked from another direction. When the enemy tried to form defensive positions, the Whisper appeared behind them. "They're trying to adapt," Hyunwoo told Taejun over the command channel. "They're learning from our tactics." "Then we change tactics," Taejun replied. "Hit them with everything strange we've got." The human fleet deployed weapons that violated every rule of civilized warfare. Kamikaze drones that looked like fleeing civilian ships until they exploded. Mines that pretended to be debris. Electromagnetic weapons that didn't destroy ships but left them blind and helpless. One human captain, commanding a converted cargo ship, rammed his vessel directly into a Kvaleth dreadnought. The impact breached the dreadnought's reactor. The explosion destroyed both ships and damaged 3 others nearby. The observing alien fleet sent urgent messages back to their governments. This was not what anyone expected. The humans were fighting with a ferocity that seemed insane. They were willing to die just to take enemies with them. On the planet below, civilians watched the battle through telescopes and view screens. They saw human ships dying, but they also saw Kvaleth ships dying. They saw their protectors refusing to surrender, fighting with everything they had. After 4 hours of battle, Drethkos looked at his casualty reports and felt sick. He had lost 200 ships. 200! Against a force that numbered fewer than 50. This was impossible. This was humiliating. "War Marshal," his tactical officer said quietly. "Our fleet morale is breaking. They don't understand what they're fighting. The ghost ship appears and disappears. The sensor readings make no sense. And the humans, they fight like demons." Drethkos wanted to order his fleet to continue, but he looked at the numbers again. If this battle continued, he might lose his entire fleet. And for what? To punish one primitive species? To prove a point? "All ships," he said slowly. "Withdraw. Reform at Rally Point Delta." The order stunned everyone who heard it. The Kvaleth Empire was retreating. An empire that had ruled space for 10,000 years was running away from humans who had been in space for 20 years. As the Kvaleth fleet jumped away to faster-than-light speed, silence fell over the battlefield. The human fleet floated among the debris, barely believing what had happened. They had won. Tajan opened a channel to all human ships. All vessels, this is Admiral Tajan. Well done, stand down from combat alert. Begin rescue operations for any survivors. On the whisper, Diho sat in his command chair. His hands were shaking slightly. Ji-won was crying quietly at her station. Hyunwoo stared at his tactical displays in disbelief. Hyunji and Minho held each other, too exhausted to speak. We did it, Minho finally said. We actually did it. Check our casualties, Daeho ordered. The numbers came in. 23 human ships destroyed. Over 8,000 crew members dead. But 12 million civilians on New Busan were safe. And the Kvalith Empire had been defeated. In the observation area, the 5 alien fleets sent frantic messages home. Humanity was not primitive. Humanity was dangerous. Everything the galaxy thought about humans was wrong. But the messages that mattered most were already spreading across the galaxy. The Whisper had defeated a Kvalith hunter-killer fleet. The Human Defense Force had made an empire retreat. Everywhere, species that had been conquered or bullied by the great empires heard the news and began to wonder. If humans could resist, maybe they could too. Part 5. The Price of Victory. 3 weeks after the Battle of New Busan, Captain Daeho stood in the council chambers again. But this time was different. The 7 ancient civilizations who ruled the galaxy were not looking down at him with contempt. They were looking at him with fear and anger. You have violated the natural order, Council Member Vrethnal said. His voice shook with rage. Your species has technology that should not exist. Your tactics violate every rule of civilized warfare. You are dangerous. Daeho stood straight and calm. Behind him, Ambassador Somin waited. She had been allowed to attend this meeting, though she still had no official vote in council matters. The galaxy still did not recognize humanity as equals. Dangerous to who? Daeho asked. We defended our colony. We didn't invade anyone. The Kvalith attacked us. You humiliated them, another council member said. You made a great empire retreat. This is unacceptable. It destabilizes the galactic order. Maybe your order needs to be destabilized, Somin said quietly. Everyone turned to look at her. She had not been given permission to speak, but she spoke anyway. For 10,000 years, you 7 civilizations have ruled the galaxy. You decide who can grow and who must stay primitive. You decide who lives and who dies. Maybe that's the real problem. Vrethnal's face darkened with anger. I dare, Somin interrupted. Because I've seen what your order does. It protects the powerful and crushes anyone who might challenge them. Well, humanity is done being crushed. The council members looked at each other. Finally, Vrethnal spoke again. We have prepared an ultimatum. Humanity will submit to council authority. You will dismantle your quantum drive technology. You will allow council inspectors to oversee all human technological development. You will accept client status under our governance. If you refuse, you will be declared rogue expansionists. Every empire in the galaxy will have permission to attack you. Daeho felt his stomach tighten. This was the choice then. Submit or be destroyed. I need to discuss this with my government. You have 3 days, Vrethnal said. Then we require your answer. Back on Earth, Admiral Tajan sat in a meeting with the world's leaders. They had been arguing for hours. Some wanted to accept the council's terms. Others wanted to fight. If we refuse, every empire in the galaxy might attack us, the president of the Asian Federation said. We can't fight the entire galaxy. If we submit, we give up everything that makes us human, the Prime Minister of Europa replied. They'll control our technology, our expansion, our future. We'll become slaves in everything but name. What other choice do we have? Someone asked. Daeho, who had been invited to the meeting, finally spoke. There is another choice, but it's risky. Everyone looked at him. Explain, Tajan ordered. The council rules because the ancient empires control all the advanced technology, Daeho said. They keep younger species weak by limiting their development. But what if we shared our technology? What if we offered the quantum drive to every species that wants it? Silence fell over the room. Then Ji-won, who had also been invited, spoke up. I've been working on something. A modification to the quantum drive that allows instant communication across any distance. No lag time, no delay. If we share this with other species, it breaks the Council's monopoly on fast communication. It changes everything. It would destabilize the entire galactic power structure, the president said slowly. Yes, Ji-won agreed. It would. But it would also prevent any single power from controlling humanity. If dozens of species have our technology, the Council can't stop us all. They'll call it an act of war, someone warned. They already want to destroy us, Taejun said. The question is whether we die alone or we take a chance at changing the galaxy. The debate continued for another day. Finally, they took a vote. The decision was close, but in the end, humanity chose defiance over submission. Ambassador Soman returned to the council chambers on the third day. The 7 ancient civilizations waited for her answer. She stood before them without fear. Humanity rejects your ultimatum, she said clearly. We will not submit to council authority. We will not dismantle our technology. We will govern ourselves. Rethnal stood up from his seat. Then you have chosen extinction. This council will— We're not finished, Soman interrupted. Humanity is announcing the formation of the Free Development Alliance. We invite any species to join us in a partnership based on mutual respect and shared technology. We will teach the quantum drive to anyone who wants to learn it. We will help younger species develop without interference from ancient empires. The council chambers erupted in chaos. Council members shouted at each other. This was unprecedented. This was revolution. You can't do this, Vrethnal screamed. We will destroy you. Try, Somin said. But you should know that 43 species have already contacted us about joining the alliance. They're tired of being controlled. They want the freedom to grow, and now they have a choice. Over the next weeks, the galaxy transformed. Species that had been suppressed for thousands of years suddenly had access to technology the Council had denied them. The quantum communication system spread like wildfire. Ancient empires watched in horror as their grip on power loosened. The Kvalath Empire faced internal rebellion. Their client species had seen humans defeat them. Now those species wanted independence. 3 Kvalath colonies declared themselves free states and joined the Human Alliance. The Council tried to organize a united response, but the 7 ancient civilizations couldn't agree. 2 of them secretly contacted humanity about joining the alliance themselves. The others prepared for war, but their client species were already leaving. 6 months after the Battle of New Busan, Captain Daeho received new orders. He would command humanity's first diplomatic fleet. 5 ships, including the Whisper, would travel beyond Council space to contact species who had never heard of Earth. We're not conquerors, Admiral Taejun told him before he left. We're liberators. Show the galaxy that there's an alternative to empire. Daeho stood on the bridge of the Whisper looking at his crew. Ji-won had been promoted to chief engineer of the entire diplomatic fleet. Hyun-woo was now a strategic commander, teaching other captains his unconventional tactics. Yoonji had become humanity's best navigator, her maps spreading through the alliance. Minho was an ambassador, speaking for humanity to new species. Ready to change the galaxy? Daeho asked them. We already did, Ji-won replied. Now we're just spreading the word. The Whisper jumped to faster-than-light speed, carrying humanity's message to the stars. Behind them, Earth grew stronger every day. The alliance expanded. The old empires weakened. 3 years later, the Galactic Sovereignty Council officially dissolved. It was replaced by the Federation of Free Worlds, an organization where every species had equal voice regardless of age or power. The 7 ancient civilizations joined as regular members, no longer rulers but partners. Humanity didn't conquer the galaxy. They liberated it by proving that youth and innovation could defeat ancient tyranny. They showed that refusing to accept defeat was sometimes the most powerful weapon of all. On New Busan, they built a monument to the 8,000 people who died defending the colony. The monument was simple, a black stone wall with 8,000 names carved into it. At the top, a single sentence. They died so humanity could be free. Admiral Taejun, now retired and old, visited the monument every year. He would stand before it and remember the impossible battle, the desperate choices, the moment when humanity refused to surrender. One year, he found Captain Daeho standing there. Daeho was older now, with more gray in his hair, but his eyes still held the same determination that had carried the Whisper through impossible dangers. Do you think we made the right choice? Taejun asked. We could have accepted the Council's terms. Fewer people would have died. Daeho looked at the names on the monument. Then he looked up at the sky, where ships from 100 different species traveled freely through space. We made the only choice we could. We chose to be free. And yes, people died for that choice. but they died so that billions could live without chains. The galaxy is different now, Taejun observed. Because we made it different, Daeho replied. We were young and stupid and desperate. We didn't know we couldn't win. So we won anyway, Taejun laughed, a sound like old leather creaking. That's humanity in a sentence. Too stubborn to know when we're beaten. In orbit above them, the Whisper hung in space as a museum ship. Children visited it to learn about the ghost ship that made empires retreat. Engineers studied its quantum drives. Historians recorded every detail of its missions. But the real legacy of the Whisper wasn't the ship itself. It was the change it brought to the galaxy. It was the proof that young species could challenge ancient powers. It was the hope that spread to 1,000 worlds. The message was simple and powerful. Refuse to accept impossible. Fight for freedom. Never surrender, and the galaxy would never be the same.